Hello year 5, how are you? I hope you're all doing great. So today what we're going to do is at the beginning I'm going to show you how can you check the comments I make for you guys when I sign your homework that you sent to me on Google Classroom. It's a really easy way, but some of you could not find the icon that you should click, so I'm going to show it to you. And then we're going to continue talking about seeds, but this lesson we're going to talk about how seeds get dispersed, how do they reach the soil, and then we're going to solve a small classroom and a classroom worksheet, and then after that I'm going to introduce you to your weekend's homework. So let's start together. So right here, as you can see, guys, when I return back a homework, you will find that your attached files are on the top right of the page, and next to it there is this small window with an arrow sticking out of it. You just have this arrow is labeled. You will find the label appears right below it, which says open a new window. You just have to click it, and then a new window will open a new window will open in your taskbar like this one, and you will find the highlighted mistake. I'm highlighting the mistake, and then I write my comment next to it. So you just have to press the small window with an arrow sticking out of it. It will open a new window for you, and then you will see the highlighted mistake and my comment next to it. Now let's start with our lesson. Let's just make a quick wrap up. As we said, this is the flower, and of course this is the carpel, which is the female organ of the flower. This is the stamen, which is the male organ of the flower. The sepal, which is the small leaves that protects the plant when or the flower when it's before it blooms, and inside the ovary of the carpel there is the ovules, those small round things. What holds the whole flower is the receptacle, and of course the colored part is the petal. Then we talked about how when the stamen produces the pollen grains and it flies away with the wind, or it get stuck to some insects or some animal's body, and then they are transferred into the stigma, whether the stigma of the same flower, in this case it's called self-pollination, or the stigma or of another flower, and in this case it's called cross-pollination. After that it sticks to the stigma and it starts to make the pollen tube, which is extends until it reaches the ovary, and then it gets into the ovule. As you can see here, it gets into the ovule, and then the male cell or the pollen starts to pass through this tube until it reaches the ovule, and then the seed is produced. Now the question is, how does the seed go to the soil, and how do seeds travel? Now we're going to talk about seed dispersal. And the word seed dispersal is the scatter of seeds in different direction, and this is a very important step in the germination of seeds, because the seed should be planted in a soil in order to start to germinate. So how would it reach the soil? This is what seed dispersal is, or the definition is to scatter in different. So the first way the seed will disperse through is through wind, such as the dandelion. As you can see, the dandelion is a type of plant with very light type of seeds. They are very light that they get easily blown by the wind. So this is the first way the seed might disperse. If the plant or the seed, sorry, is very light, it will start to be blown by the wind. Now, some of the seeds are big and heavy, and in this case we need the help of an animal. So as you can see, the squirrel, they just love the acorn, and the acorn is the food that they feed on. And sometimes, as a way of storing food, they start to dig in the soil and bury the acorn under the soil so that they can eat it later. But sometimes they forget the place where they buried their acorn, and this where the acorn starts to germinate. So the acorn is buried by squirrels. One of the most famous and disgusting actually ways of dispersing seeds is via the waste of the animals. After the animals eat fruit, they start to of course they digest those fruits, and the seeds is really hard to be digested, so they get out of their system or their bodies through their wastes. And when this happens, it gets into the soil and it starts to germinate. Some of the ripe fruits starts to fall on the ground, and they go rotten. When they go rotten, the seeds never gets rotten because of its hard coat. So after they get rotten and they start to disappear, the seeds will remain in the ground, and they will start to germinate. So one of the ways the seed get dispersed is through ripening of fruits, which falls down to the ground, and the seed will start to germinate after going into the soil. Another way is by the movement or by the carrying of some animals or bugs. For example, or the most famous bug that stores food and works really hard by storing food is of course the ants. And you might have seen this scene before. Some ants holding a seed, and they are carrying it to a specific place where they store their food. So it gets dispersed also by this way when they are carried by animals or bugs. Sometimes seeds as large as, for example, the coconut, they start to swim in the sea, or they start to float in water to get to the land, and then they start to produce new plants or germinate. So some seeds float to water to get to land. Now let's do this classwork together, guys, since we have had a quick trip through the ways the seeds get dispersed. So this is worksheet number 11, found on page 20. Plant seeds can travel in many different ways. Read each sentence in the box, then write the number of each sentence in the orange circle to match one of the pictures below. So number 1, farmers grow crops by planting seeds in the ground. Which photo of this represents this? I think it's very obvious that it's this one. So this represents sentence number 1. Number 2, birds eat fruit in one place and pop out seeds in another place. So as you can see, this is the bird, and they start to eat the fruit, and then they pop out the seed in another place. So this represents sentence number 2. Number 3, coconuts fall into the sea and are carried to another shore. I think this is a really easy worksheet because it's very obvious. Number 4, dandelion seeds are carried by the wind. So this is the dandelion and they start to be carried by the wind. So this represents sentence number 4. Now let's get to know your weekend homework. This is the first page of your homework. It's really easy. You just have at the first question you have to arrange how the pollination occurs. So this is really easy. There is nothing hard about it. Question number 2, you have to look at the seeds and you have to write in the boxes W if they are dispersed by wind, or A if they are dispersed by animals. It's very easy because I'm going to just give you a little hint. Only one of them will be dispersed via wind and the others will be dispersed by animals. The next page is worksheet number 12, found on page 21. It's also very easy. You just have to match which one of those seeds get dispersed by animals, which one dispersed by explosion. And by explosion, any seeds that that might be found inside a pocket, they explode. The pocket explodes and they start to get out to the soil. And the last one is which of those plants get dispersed by which of those seeds get dispersed by wind. The last worksheet is worksheet number 23, and as you can see, guys, it is related to the lesson that we took yesterday. It's very easy. So this is a seed germinating. You just have to say what is the meaning of germination. Very easy. These three statements are about germination. They are not in the correct order. You just have to rearrange how germination happen and write 2 things that seeds need to germinate. And I want you to pay attention. We're talking about seeds here. We're not talking about plants growing. We're talking about seeds germinating, because they both need different things to grow. Now this is it, guys. I hope you have a lovely weekend, and next week on Sunday I will be correcting this week's homework, the whole week homework, and then we're going to wrap up the lesson together, and we're going to finish answering some of the classworks. This will happen through next week, inshallah. I hope you're having great time, and thank you guys for the people who took care of the activities that I sent them. I will be sending photos of my plant growing, because I recently have moved it to a pot with soil inside it, and it's growing up lovely. So I'm going to show you some pictures next week of it. I miss you so much, guys. I hope I can see you soon. Take care and stay safe. Bye bye.